Today heralds the arrival of the long-awaited 1.2.8 update for Jurassic World Evolution 3. Let's crack open our patch loot box and see what new updates might be inside. We're going to look at the update notes. Now, we already know this update includes Dracorex and Leopleurodon, 2 new family units, males, females, and babies. But what other exciting things might be in this update? Well, let's look at the notes. Oh, nothing. There's nothing. They had 2 months, and not a single bug fix. It's just the family units. Immensely disappointing. We'll look at these guys in game, but I look honestly when these updates are coming out, unless it's an animal I'm really like missing for a reason, like Amargo was a fantastic return because we didn't have any animal like that. I like Dracorex, don't get me wrong, but like I don't need them. So when these updates are coming out, the thing I'm anticipating, other stuff in the patch, bug fixes, new content. There's nothing. It's empty. They didn't even give me a lump of coal. I guess they did give me a lump of coal, and it's called Leopleurodon. Now, the one thing with this, there is one caveat here. And we'll show it in a second. This is our one caveat. Oh, I need to get this actually fully on screen here. Unfortunately, I can't scroll down because it's just the image. There we go. This is our one caveat. Well, update 1.2.8 is a stinker. We're going to get the next free update showcased in 2 days. So, while this update may be completely bare bones and utterly lacking in meaningful content, maybe the next one will be better. Which I feel like I've said for like the last 4 free updates. It's really starting to feel to me like the returning species are almost being used as an excuse to prop the game up with no meaningful changes, which is bad. Now, traditionally, of course, meaningful free updates only came alongside DLCs. So really the problem is we've had one DLC. The thing is, it's been months and months and months. We have a massive content gap in terms of DLC releases, which means we have a massive gap in terms of free content releases. They should have put out something meaningful in a patch in this gap. And maybe they intended to, and then they just decided to bump it because it got bumped by 2 months anyway. Who fucking knows? It could be anything. But yeah, free update showcase Wednesday, so we'll learn more then. Let's get to the game. Alright, we're here in game. We're looking at the research tree. Dracorex here is on the small herbivore dig site, which is not unlocked automatically at the start of the game, but is one of the cheap ones you can do very quickly. So it can serve as a early or starter animal. Leopleurodon is tucked in here on Marine 1. So 5 Marine here and 3 here, which I guess makes sense because it is not, you know, exactly a big seller, let's say. It's you know, like kind of a mid-tier animal. I feel like this is a mistake though to have only 2 marine dig sites, but they can always add more. They can always change this. But having like 5 clustered on this single node is kind of crazy for aquatics. Kind of frustrating because you're unlikely to use 5 aquatics in your park, but whatever. Alright, so Dracorex. Let's look at them. First off, yeah, 63,000 is comparable to a bigger tier small herbivore. Less than Ornithomimus, more than Gallimimus. So yeah, fairly cheap. In terms of the info, batch size 3 to 8, 51 appeal, 8 modifications. I don't know how any of this compares to the stats for this guy in the last game. Ground nut, ground leaf sounds pretty familiar. It's got wetland need. Of course it's got wetland need. Every goddamn animal in this game has wetland need. Adult pop 4+, nothing with juveniles. No male-female specifics. Like Ankylosaurids, Stegosaurids, and Sauropods. This all seems pretty standard. There's the juvenile silhouette. There's the bio. Anything egregious here? Yep, seems about right. All right. Well, let's take a look at the skins. So, female, male. Is there any significant changes to the head in any? The nose horns? There's also those horns kind of behind the eye. Looks like the nose horns are bigger. I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah, and then these spikes underneath the main spike are bigger. I like that. I actually kind of really like that as a dimorphism thing. The fact that these two main like feature horns are kind of the same on both. It's just the male has more additional horns around that. I like it. I'm pretty happy with this as a male. As a male, I'm happy with this male. Yeah, not too shabby. This guy was always a pretty good looking animal, like in terms of its general vibe in the game. Not exactly, a species that exists anymore really, but it looks good. Or has always looked good. The colors were always a little muddy, I guess you could say, on this guy. He was never a guy who really stood out to me for like any particularly notable color palettes. But like it's not bad, it's just it all kind of appears muted, naturalistic. So on the male colors are looking to me like they stand out a little bit more. Maybe. Hard to say. I mean, it's really the same color. I don't know. Something about it felt a little more. I think it's just the pattern, right? The density of the pattern's much higher, which makes the whole thing feel brighter. Yeah. So the colors don't really do anything too crazy for the base. It's just the pattern really makes it pop. Yeah. I mean, some decent stripes on the male here. I like it. I'm happy with this one. It was never going to be an animal that I was like, this has to be something that comes back quick, but I mean, I'm definitely happier to see this in the Leopleurodon. Yeah. I like the facial patterning here. I think the splash of color on the nose, like around the base of the horns, is kind of an interesting take. The little eye spots are pretty good. And then yeah, like kind of some like diffusive, like broken up stripes on the body. At least that's not frontier splotches. Looks pretty good. I like the spinal striping here. Looks pretty good from above. Yeah, we'll have to breed some and get some babies going. Might as well pop in. Actually, if we're gonna pop in genes, we should be popping in breeding genes. Although I just make breeding automatic. Like, what am I talking about? All right. Well, we'll get those guys running. And we'll check the release animation. This mountain behind me is super buggy. It's really weird. It's like a black hole for the camera. We've encountered this kind of thing before. The weirdest thing happened, though, when I was setting this up. My mouse got stuck in the mountain, and I actually had, like, an error, like, Windows air sound play on the computer. I thought the game was going to explode. It was very weird. Unfortunately, I wasn't recording, so I don't, like, have, that as an example to show, but... Just grab some random guys. I actually quite like this one. I think the light gray and the brown go together really nicely on this. Very naturalistic. Alright. We don't need to look at the skins all day. Release animation. That guy's having a time. So's that one. A little buggy, huh? Maybe they could have put out some bug fixes in this update, maybe, huh? It's also like perfectly flat.
Its name means Dragon King, so let's hope it doesn't start breathing fire or something. No, seriously, we don't have the insurance for that.
Oh, very funny. Insurance jokes. Wow. All right. And some wetland over here. All right. These guys are medium nest. No preferences or requirements. Let's just grab a couple of duders. Make sure we put on breeding, guaranteed. Dinosaur breeding, always fly. Okay. All right, great. Well, that's happening. We can go take a look at the Leopleurodon. Now, no. We should probably talk about expectations. People were really getting their hopes up that this guy was going to get redesigned. And that was not going to happen. I was saying before, people were getting their hopes up too much for this guy to be redesigned in a free update, and lo and behold, he wasn't redesigned in a free update. They're not going to make a whole new model for a creature, like redesign it from scratch and put it in a free update. In the entire lifetime of this franchise, Jurassic World Evolution, we have had one new creature added for free. One new model came to the game for free, and that was Pseudoceratops in JWE1. If they had any intention to redesign this guy or Elasmosaurus or Tylosaurus, they would have redesigned them for base game like they did with Deinonychus. Because it's a selling point. It's something that gets people to theoretically buy the game, at least in combination with other factors. So this guy's not updated. He looks exactly like he always looked. Be prepared for Elasmosaurus and Tylosaurus to have the same fate. The only way they will ever change is if there's some sort of massive backlash to this guy, and that drives them to make it different. And I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. Batch size 1 to 3, 390. Appeal 390 is similar to nobody. Okay. Below Chrono by a fair bit. So it makes sense for it to be on that research node. So yeah, a mid-tier. Kind of the only other mid-tier to go with Chrono, huh? It's almost like the Lagoon roster is completely bare bones still and missing tons and tons of guys. 13 mods. 2 adults, any for juveniles, fish, open water. Yeah, lagoons are nothing. There's not really anything interesting to see here, possibly. At least he's not wetland need, you know, that's good. There's the juvenile silhouette. Plesiosaur, yep. All right, let's look at the skins. So, I already know. No real dimorphism. I'm genuinely kind of shocked this isn't a display feature. His little neck beard, great opportunity to make that a male-only thing. I'm kind of, so, you know, I did just say, right, this was not going to get remodeled, obviously. I'm surprised they didn't, like, shave off the scoots for the female or something to kind of, like, make up for that, right? Because, you know, you're making, at least sometimes you're making a second model for the female or the male. In this case, they didn't. And so it's an opportunity where if there's a substantial complaint about the existing animal, to redesign one of the two genders, not make a whole new model, just clean up the existing model a little bit for the other one. And they didn't do that here. Now, another point people have brought up with this guy, the lack of dimorphism, right? People have defended that, saying, well, not every animal is dimorphic. And that's true, right? Plenty of animals in this game should probably not be dimorphic. However, having male and female variants establishes a standard of dimorphism. Like, saying that animals are not always dimorphic is not a realistic excuse for the game, right? This is not a stylistic choice to make Leopleurodon not dimorphic. It is simply a corner they have cut. It can be justified through real life. It can be explained and reasoned away. That doesn't mean it's not a corner cut, right? Like, they could have taken away male variants for half of the animals in the game, and it would be completely justified from a realism standpoint. But that would make people mad for good reason. It's a selling point for the game. People expect male and female differences. Hell, I think ideally, the ideal version of the male and female system in the game should be the option to enable or disable dimorphism on a species by species basis. I think ideally you would give every animal a male variant and make that toggleable so that you can use any female design as a male. You make the choice as to whether or not you want the animal to be dimorphic. You're already choosing the color palettes. Why shouldn't you be able to choose the physical form? Is that too progressive for gamers these days? Oh, we're not going to get into that. Although it's the perfect month to discuss that kind of shit. What the fuck is wrong with people? Anyway, yeah, so base colors are also kind of whatever. Got a nice little yellow there. Let's make this blank. Then if we do the same color on the male. So there's scale highlights there. That's pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't think there's even like a patterning difference, right? There's a good pattern here that actually stands out. None of them stand out. They look, yeah, Leopleurodon's just one of those animals where the pattern isn't anything anyway. Like, like I could notice some changes, but holy cow, this pattern does nothing. It's like highlighting on the front end of the flipper. I think that's another thing we could talk about. Some of these animals should have had their patterns changed for JWE3. We had changes coming from 1 to 2 to make some of the patterns better and make some of them worse, looking at my Herrerasaurus, which is questionable. Why did we not get... I mean, I know why we didn't get it. Why did we not get more changes to patterning in JWE3? Well, because it was another corner they could cut off, rushing out the update, the new game. Like, yeah, they had to do a lot of work to get... Dude, it's just like little splotches of color on the neck. There's like nothing to this. This is super bland. But yeah, they had to do a lot to get, you know, the new features of JWE3 working. Sure, right? That was the big part of the dev cycle. Modular buildings are very complex. The new terrain tools are nice to have. Okay, you can see the striping much more there around the base of the flipper. But, like, the rest of the game suffered for it, right? We didn't get... Like the animals are 1-to-1 with JWE2. That wasn't true when we went from JWE1 to 2. 1 to 2 was like an art style change, updates to patterns. Like, obviously the models were still ported in as the basis, but they were changed. Rigs were adjusted, scales were changed, patterns were redesigned. It felt like they actually had a vision for what 2 was going to be in comparison to 1 with the animals. 3 doesn't have that. The animals are identical in behavior and in look to the way they were in 2, in almost all cases. Underwhelming. That's my thesis statement. Anyway, yeah, this guy sucks. So, let's breed some. Let's check out the baby. Yeah. I think the other reason people are getting super hopeful for, like, a better version of this guy is just because of the fact that we waited so goddamn long for him. Like, the fact that we had to sit here... Why are my other dudes angry? The fact that we had to sit here with no content for 2 months, and then this guy was announced to be one of the guys coming back, did kind of, in a weird way, establish a different idea of, like, what are we... How are you missing wetland? Expand your territory! Go to other places!
A comfortable dinosaur is one that's
Shut
significantly
up.
easier to manage.
Shut up.
Keeping them content should be a priority.
It's not my fault. It's their fault. Oh, did the breeding... Okay, nest claim. Great. Second egg. I don't know if I did a female or a male on the other one. Let's do one of each here. That's perfectly fine. We get a chance to see a single and a double release. Okay. Yep. Still crap. Not only does like the design feel questionable, just the way the like neck beard combines with the flesh looks very fake and like video game-ish. Like these little spines just feel like they're clipping through the skin. They don't feel like they're actually nested in it. Whoops. Why did I swear I hit the space bar, but clearly I didn't. I fucking don't know what that was. Well, anyway.
You want to know why I hate the ocean so much? Down there in the gloom, even immense hunters like the Liopleurodon can be on you in an instant and you couldn't even see them coming. Ooh, I even scared myself there.
Alright, two more. Well, we got to see the other release animation, I guess, so there's that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome a Liopleurodon to the park.
Alright, we need another lagoon tile here. This is not exactly the best lagoon I've ever made, you know, but whatever, it's fine. It's not a real park. Alright, we got one egg. Really? One? One little guy? Leaves in 2 minutes. Fine. Let's get this going. Alright, then we'll be back when this guy is ready to go. Alright, time is almost here. It is almost time for baby. Animals Pregante. On little fella. I think that's a high quality baby. His tail's a little janky. Look at that. Look at how lumpy his tail is. I think that's just a rigging thing with that specific animation because it's good now. Yeah, I think this is a good looking juvenile animal. This looks the rig is maybe shared with something. I wouldn't be surprised, of course, being that it's this game. The juveniles cut a lot of corners. But, or it's just like the homalocephaly rig or something. But, it looks good. It looks pretty good. It doesn't feel like the proportions are egregiously different than, like, the adult. And it doesn't look like the model's been like crudely edited like a few of them do. Like the face looks good, it looks reasonable, the eye placement looks reasonable and realistic to me. Well, as realistic as anything does, right? You know, a few of the animals, it feels like you can tell that like they're trying to approximate some of the features of the adult face on a rig that doesn't really support it, and this one doesn't feel that way. I'm happy with it. Yeah, the head feels maybe a little like shorter and fatter than the adult, so I'm gonna put that down probably to something with whatever this rig is based on. I'd be very curious to know what rig that's shared with, but I'm not going to take the time to try to figure out what that is because it's a little too much effort. Yeah, it's good. Okay, and the hands are the same on both. They're not... Well, the adults are kind of in between correct wrist positions. They're kind of bunny hands, but they're kind of also clapping. They're like both... They're like pseudo pronated. It's kind of weird. And that's not true for the juvenile, but like, again, that's like very nitpicky. Which I have done my share of nitpicking, but... Yeah. It's fine. I'm not going to complain unduly about that. Alright. Leopleurodon. Where are we at on the breeding program? Flamed? Right. So, I forget. Birth imminent. So they don't have a timer, right? They just do the thing. They just swim in and then have the baby. Nice job clipping through the metal of like the one thing you're supposed to do. Okay, yeah, then there it comes. Because there's one specific side that is like the release side, and they swim into it from any angle. I see. Well, there's the Leopleurodon baby. That is just a scaled down adult, right? Probably no rig sharing here, but like maybe the head's been softened up a little bit, but that's about it. That really just looks like a scaled down adult to me. Which is not the worst way to do it. Okay, yeah, and the scoots here are smoothed out, right? It's not as spiky, like they're smoothed out on the tail, but I still think that is just the adult model. Maybe the tail's a little shortened too. They've just taken the adult and they've like rounded off the edges, right? The claws on the flippers are a little reduced. I think they've smoothed out the head here. And they've given him a shave. He's got no neck beard. He hasn't yet moved into the basement and started, browsing Reddit, so. Nah, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. It being basically a scaled down and like shaved off adult is honestly probably kind of preferable to sharing the rig of something that's not completely appropriate for the animal. I'm okay with this. Like, I don't care about this animal. I'm almost never going to use this, but this is a fine way to do the juvenile. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine for what it is, and what it is a disappointment. The juvenile wasn't going to save it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the update. There's not much else to talk about here. We'll be back on Wednesday for whatever the next update is and talk about that. Hopefully, it kicks ass because we really do need a kick-ass update. It's feeling a little rough out here in JWE3 land. At least for us management types. The creatives are having a field day, of course, but they've always been having a field day. So, yeah, we'll see everybody again on Wednesday.